Hello, this is Miss Kelso, and I'm just going to go over some real quick tips and tricks for formatting your work when you're working in Word, Microsoft Word, which you should have on your school computer. And I just want to go over some basics that some students don't necessarily know offhand. The first one, so I've got this example here of what sometimes we see students turn in, and as you might be able to tell, it's really hard to read it. Sometimes students want to be all fancy and use pretty fonts and colors and stuff, but really what happens then is it just makes it harder for the teacher to focus on your writing, and what we want to do is look at your writing, not the other stuff. So the first thing I'm going to say right here is do not use any other color font except for black. Word, you're focusing on the words, not on how it looks. So make sure that you use black font. The other thing is make sure that you use a font that is easy to read. The basics, the two standard fonts is Arial or Times New Roman. Depending on your teacher, you might be able to use other ones, but these are kind of just the standard. If you do these, you won't get in trouble for that. Makes it easy. The next thing you'll notice with this story is right now it is what's called centered. Everything is right in the middle, which again makes it more difficult to read. You are going to want to go with what's called left, align left, or justify it to the left. And if in this word, you can just make sure it's all selected and then push this button here. Now you'll notice on the left, everything is lined up evenly. On the right, it is what's called ragged right because it's not even there. This is 100% fine, or you can select here the justified, which then makes both sides smooth on both sides, except for, of course, new paragraphs. So that's the next thing. Now, you want to make sure that you indent your paragraphs so your teachers know where your paragraphs begin. Please, when you're indenting, use a tab. They are designed to make it nice and even and neat. I have seen teachers or students before just trying to space over, which first of all takes a lot of time, but also then sometimes the spacing is different. It messes things up. It makes it difficult. So rather than using the space bar, there is a button that says tab. Hit tab. It'll automatically do it. And sometimes Word will do this for you automatically, but if you don't, just make sure that you've tabbed over your paragraphs. So again, the reader can easily see where the paragraphs are. The title generally is centered. You can do that. You can put the title on the center, but everything else, as I said, should be justified like that. The other issue that a lot of students have trouble with is you should have your papers in double spaced. So I've seen students before who weren't sure necessarily how to double space, so they would just hit enter twice. Don't do that, and I'll show you one of the reasons why you don't want to do that is because if you change the font at all, now your spacing gets all wonky and really confusing. Okay, do not do that. There's a much easier way to make it double spaced. You're going to select all. And I use Control-A to do that, but basically you can highlight it all. You go up here to this one here. It's got arrows on both sides. If you select on that, right now is 1.0, which means single spaced. You can do 1.5, which was 1.5, but what the teachers normally ask for, what's requested is double spaced, which you're going to go 2.0. And now automatically double spaced. You didn't have to do anything weird. Please do that when you're doing it. I think that's the main thing there. The other thing I will say is a lot of times students will put a space between paragraphs, and I know that's common like on things on the internet and stuff, but for school papers, the formal style, you don't put any space between paragraphs. It's those indents that let you know it's a paragraph. The other thing you're going to use generally is a 12-point font. 12-point is a good size, not too small, not too big, easy for teachers to read. I will just let you know, students sometimes say, oh, I have to write a 3-page paper, but I've actually written a 1-page paper, but no problem, I'll just make it 36 font. Teachers know right away when you're doing that. They know you're trying to trick them, so just don't. Just stick with the 12-point font. And you can see now this is a much easier file to read for your teacher. This is what we're gonna want to see here at MGLVA, or in addition anywhere. If you go into college, any other formal places like this, this is how you're going to format it. So get in the habit of doing that now. And then once you've got your story ready and formatted, don't forget to save it, and you should be all set to go. Now, real quick, if you are working on a computer that for whatever reason does not have Word, there is Google Docs that you can do as well, and I'm just going to show you real quick just a few differences with Google Docs. Okay, so same story, but this is in Google Docs. Basically, everything is very similar. It's just some of the images are slightly different as to where they are, how to find them, things like that. The line spacing, instead of having 2.0, it says double, but for the most part, all of that is the same. The one thing I will let you know, if you are working in Google Docs, you need to actually download it then. So go to download as a Microsoft Word document. Once you do that, that'll save as a Word document, which is what you can upload to your folder and send to your teacher. That way they can open it. So do make sure you do that. A lot of times students will share the Google Doc, but unless you give the teacher permission to open a Google Doc, they can't, and it causes lots of issues. If your teacher says, can you just share the Google Doc, you go up here to the share and you select anyone with this link. Instead of saying restricted, which means they can't see it, you say anyone with the link can see it, then you can actually copy the link and share it to them. But if you don't do this, then the teacher can't open it. So just a couple things with Google Docs, but otherwise it is pretty much the same. Those are just real basics, but I want to make sure students know this. It'll make everything easier for you and for your teacher. Thank you so much, and have a great day.